Michael, welcome to Pure Politics.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
I think most people actually remember you, or maybe saw you for the first time, from that infamous political video from CNN last year during the session, where you and former governor and current Democratic Senator Julian Carroll had a little bit of a run-in. We have a clip from that. Take a look.
You're trying to destroy the two-party system in America,
Sir,
and I'm not going to be a part of it. End of this conversation.
you went on record saying I'm trying to start a party. There is no party here, sir. I'll see you on the floor, Senator. I appreciate it.
You're like a reporter chasing down a person there. So explain to me what that battle was about last year.
Well, the whole issue is independent voters being treated like second-class citizens. And not only is it happening here in Kentucky, it's happening all around the country. We see where the primaries are the most crucial step in the election process. It dictates the conversation for the rest of the campaign leading into the general. One of my major issues when I first started recognizing and becoming aware of this was when Kentucky kept turning out 15–20% in these primary elections. And I just don't see a majority of people electing these individuals. I wanted to see a more open process, a more inclusive instead of exclusive process. And, that's what this whole fight has been about.
What do you mean that independents are being treated like second-class citizens? After all, those of us who are independents choose to be. We don't choose to be a Democrat or a Republican.
Well, I mean, it all goes to starting to registration. When you register as an independent, not only do you have to click the other box, you have to write in independent. There's no classification. It's like they don't want to recognize what an independent is. An independent is a very important voter in this country, and especially in the state of Kentucky. It starts there, and then it goes to the classification of not being able to vote in primaries. You don't see any independents on the election board here in local in Jefferson County or in the statewide. These independents have a voice, and they can organize without being in a party. They choose to be independent because they want to think for themselves.
That's a good point about not having independents on the Board of Elections. But when it comes to the primary elections, that's the process by which Democrats choose the Democratic nominee and Republicans choose the Republican nominee. If somebody really wanted to weigh in on one of those parties, shouldn't they just, like all the other Republicans or Democrats, register as that before December 31st, the previous year, and to be able to vote in that primary?
Well, I get where you're going, and I understand what the parties are talking about. They're talking about the right to association. Here's my issue with it. These are taxpayer-funded primaries. So you're telling an independent who pays their taxes that they can't associate with it, yet they're footing the bill for these primaries. That's a big issue. I understand the right to association, but if I'm paying for something, I want to associate as well when I choose.
What kind of a political effect do you see the independents having on the elections these days? I mean, they're about 6.8%, I think, of the voting population, registered voters. They're about 198,000 or so strong. What kind of effect do you see them having?
I just see them being a part of the process and electing a more majority, like more of a majority being able to elect a candidate and push them forward. I know a lot of parties wouldn't want to agree, but it brings them almost to a moderate style of candidate, somebody that is going to lead from the center. Because once they get into office, you're no longer a Republican or Democrat. Well, you shouldn't be, and you should represent your full district, and that's what we want to see, and I think that's the effect that independents will have.
But there hasn't been in recent memory an independent statewide elected officer. There's only one current elected independent state legislator, and he originally was elected as a Democrat, then a Republican, then switched to independent. That's Bob Leeper of Paducah. What's it going to take, you think, to have an independent elected to an office? As
the chairman of Independent Kentucky, we focus on voters. We haven't really built anything for candidates just because we want to secure the voters first. But I think an independent candidate is going to have to step up to the plate and go out there and reach out to people. You're going to have to knock on the doors, and you're going to have to let them know that, independents are an independent viewpoint is a way to look at it, that you want to represent everybody and not just one segment. And that's hard to do. That's hard to break into politics as an independent.
Well, yeah, you tried it, and actually the former or the current Democratic attorney for the Democratic Party went to court, and you were eventually disqualified. Explain what happened there in your bid for the 35th district.
It goes to ballot access laws. As a Republican or Democrat, you have to provide 2 signatures to run for office. As an independent, you have to get 100. I turned in 164, and they challenged over half of those signatures, saying some were invalid, some were illegible, some individuals weren't registered to vote in the district, some people didn't live in the district. I collected my signatures at a lot of events around Louisville. One of them was the Dante contest down in Germantown, and they decided to disqualify a lot of those signatures, saying those people lived just right outside the district or weren't registered.
So is that not fair?
No, I think it should be a level playing field. If Republicans and Democrats have to get 2 signatures, independents or libertarians should only have to get 2 signatures.
So when you're talking to other independents and urging them to run, if you are, what kind of advice do you give them about preparing against that?
Get 10 times the signatures they request. That's all you can do, because they're going to challenge it every time, as we've seen not only in my race, but Ed Martin and Michael Hansen were also challenged in the 3rd congressional district race.
Right. Ed Martin was a libertarian and Michael Hansen was an independent.
That's right.
What then will you be doing in the coming interim session of the General Assembly and the 2012 session to address the ballot access? I know that Jimmy Higdon, a state senator, is working on the access to the primary, but the ballot access for candidates, is there anything in the works on that?
Well, there's a couple things. I've looked into a couple of different options, and I noticed in Illinois they have presented a bill to where you either collect the signatures or you pay a fee, and I thought that was a good idea because that fee would go to the Treasury.
Is that a higher fee than what Democrats and Republicans would?
Well, it would be this law, if passed, would equal it out. You can either get signatures or pay a fee, and that fee would go to the Treasury and help the budget.
Okay. So is that something that you'll be pushing in this legislative
session? It's something that we're looking at. We're going to contact our friends on, in Frankfort and see, what they think about this bill. Obviously, we kind of turn to Senator Leeper, since he is the independent senator in Kentucky, and we'll see what he says and if he thinks we can get something like that going.
Interestingly, when you were having the ballot access issue in the 35th state house race, your attorney was Gatewood Galbraith, who is of course the independent candidate running for governor this time around. He hasn't gotten his signatures with his running mate Dee Riley in quite yet, but now is Independent Kentucky as an organization going to do anything to support his candidacy?
Independent Kentucky's board of directors have decided not to endorse any candidates.
Including an independent?
Including an independent. It's something, like I said, that we were focusing on independent voters. Candidates can get lost in the shuffle. Now, personally, I will definitely be signing my name on Gatewood's petition. And I'm sure a few close friends of mine will be doing the same.
And he's got 5,000 of those signatures to get at least.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's shooting for 10 to 15,000.
All right. Well, we'll actually have Mr. Galbraith on later this week. So, Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.